Which side of the map? It is going to be our red Protoss player. This is ShoWTimE. As we have in the top left, our blue Terran player is going to be Cure. So here we go, Curious Minds, my #1 pick for the map contest. I do just think it's been a very solid map throughout. I think it's been a very fun map throughout. Really, really happy to see it coming out here as the first map of our grand finals. It is best of 7 in ShoWTimE Cure, the Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament. There's a couple of SCVs going to come nibbling. Get this set up to go. So, obviously, finally a little bit of TVP, first time seeing pros today. We got to see ShoWTimE play PvT last night. One thing he struggled with on this map is he found it difficult to take a third against Uthermal's 3 racks pressure, and he actually did a really cool thing. If you missed the series, it was a really good one. He expanded, he was on the top left, so he had a base cancelled here, but he double expanded. After having this base cancelled and this base cancelled, he expanded here and here. And it was that bottom left base that got to stay up, and it just about kept him in the game. And the game dragged out for a long time, but he was just about able to make it work, and it was a really sick hold. I believe it was map 3 of the series, and it was the beginning of his turnaround. He's down 0-2, and he turned it into a 3-2. It was pretty crazy stuff. SCV pulling away back to the upper left-hand side. As you do see, our command center coming down, a couple of Reapers on the way out, so that's kind of funky from Cure. So what he does is he opens with like a fast reactor, a marine reactor, and then 2 Reapers into 3 racks. Definitely a bit of a different way to get set up here. Hey guys, vote shut at midnight West Coast time tonight, so I believe it's in about like 16 hours or something. So yeah, voting does shut late tonight or early tomorrow if you're European maybe. So make sure you get your votes in for the TLMC. And I don't know when they'll announce the winners and stuff, but hopefully it won't be that long considering we've had voting during the tournament this time around. I don't know how long it usually takes to announce the winners. I love Wardy using his influence to get the maps he likes in. I mean, you guys are very welcome to go vote for what you want. I mean, I'm just being honest about my point of view, right? I even said this earlier. I was like, I don't know if I should share them because maybe it sways people, but like, I mean, everyone can go out and say what maps they like out of the contest, right? So, I mean, I'm honest. I've given my reasons. You might not agree with them. I don't think anyone's going to go... I really don't think I'm powerful enough for people to be like, you know what? I agree with Wardy. I'm just going to blindly vote with what he said, you know? But I thought it was kind of like, we just had a couple moments of downtime, so I thought it would be cool to, you know, at least talk about and get some discussion in the chat, maybe see what you guys have been voting for. Yeah. All I want is that everyone votes, so we just don't have some random winner, like we did like a couple of times in TLMC. There's been a couple of times where there's been so few votes that a map that just was not good at all ended up winning. So please go out and vote for the maps, guys. Like, it genuinely really does help, and it'd be cool to actually see a winner that the people want to see as the winner, you know? I think that would be really cool. Oracle's going to go into this mineral line, and a couple of SCVs already going down. Not going to get picked away. The Nexus setting up on the right-hand side against Impact and Combat Shield going to be done soon. So here comes our first push of the game from Cure. ShoWTimE, obviously, an Oracle setup, giving him a lot of info. He's going to play with this Adept defense. Now, he did this the other day against Uthermal too, and he quite frankly just got overrun. It wasn't on this map that he did it. It was on a different map. I believe maybe like an Aqueduct or something. Anyways, it was, might have even been the first game that they played, but it was not pretty. let's see what Cure can do. The big thing is, especially over time, these adepts really don't scale, as well as the bio units scale. So I'm not 100% convinced really about the adepts. I'm not sure what the exact idea behind it is from ShoWTimE. Maybe just the adepts get some damage, the oracles can pick up a lot of the final kills very quickly. Adepts are cheap to build, you're not going to have a Twilight upgrade here anyway, and then he just feels they stand the best. You can get the most of them out for the cheapest amount without, and because they don't have a Twilight upgrade, he just feels like they are the best without a Twilight upgrade in this situation. In this case, Cure actually just turns around and doesn't end up pushing in at all, so ShoWTimE can be pretty content and pretty happy that he doesn't actually have to deal with that just yet. Fire Force pulls up onto the high ground then as we have a pretty peaceful opening despite the 3-rack start. Nothing feisty happening in our grand finals map number 1. Oracle's just turning it back around in the center and just going to be pulling it away then, so it's heading back down to the bottom. And, yeah, I mean, we're on the way to the first Colossus. I like what Cure did, because I actually think, like I say, these adepts do not scale well into the game. And I think if Cure can really just kind of, by adding on more bio, I actually think this round of the fight match should be even better for Cure. Also with the +1 attack upgrade. Let's have a look. There's one stasis ward that's just out of vision. Massive stasis ward for ShoWTimE. Catches a good chunk of Cure's army, and now Cure hesitates. And now we're actually going to be seeing a Colossus out on the map. And this changes everything. That is a massive game changer here for ShoWTimE, as Cure cannot attack in when he wanted to initially. Will he attack in still? Well, these adepts gonna start jumping on this army. Cure comes in with the medevac to evacuate what he can. Two oracles still sat out the front. It's gonna be seeing the couple of medevacs gonna load up and try and make their way in toward the main base perhaps, but the Phoenix have now been in production and they're gonna stop the drop. So I feel like Cure just kind of got halted a little bit here. He does get a 3rd CC up behind this, but I kind of expected it. I definitely expected a fight here at least, and I think Cure expected one too, and that stasis ward really threw off his expectations. Army sits down the ramp, just going to be seeing the 4th base going to come up in the top right-hand side. I was wondering a bit about, like, is this 4th base too difficult to hold? I think it's very powerful for the Terran to obviously drop down here and obviously push up here at the same time. Maybe this is kind of far apart, but I only think that because I'm thinking like this is the entire width of the map, but it's also not a massive map, right? So I don't know if it's really that much of an issue. ShoWTimE does hold this watchtower as well. He gets some zealots running by. They won't do too much initially. He's keeping revelations on the main army, making sure he knows where it might be going to, making sure he keeps track of any movements with that. Gonna go diving on this army now. He's pretty confident about his 3 Colossi. The Phoenix lifting up a few units as well, guaranteeing some kills. On the right side, there's a bit of bio pushing through, though, and this is going to be ShoWTimE's 3rd base in some trouble. He recalls over to get an army over here, but he might still lose the 4th base. Cure was about to walk there, decided not to walk there, so maybe ShoWTimE actually gets away with this. It looked as though that might have been a little bit scarier than it actually turned out to be. We still continue down the bottom side. I mean, the split pushes are definitely going to be one of the better things about this game for Cure, because it does feel like the threat of the drop in the main versus the push to the top is going to be powerful, but honestly, ShoWTimE is genuinely just handling it well so far. He isn't getting himself too out of position or caught up in the moment. He had to recall to defend the 3rd base just now, but now that he's realized that that's Cure's intention, he's like, okay, I'm going to stop being as aggressive. I'm going to hold back a little bit more, and I am just going to focus on the defense and improving my army for some of the later game fights. Colossi putting in the work here, and the force fields are great, cutting some of that army in half. An additional round of units will be on the way in. Moving up this ramp, clearing out a Widow Mine as ShoWTimE cleans up a little bit. We still got a Bioforce out on the bottom as well. That's still also just kind of chilling around here. Scan up onto the Natural and see, well, not much going on there really either. Seems like there's an army nearby, I guess, so it's still a defended position by ShoWTimE more than anything. That's good information to have, as Colossi is still being difficult to move through on the top side of the map, and actually holding this top side well. This top side is really cool design as well, right? Like the watchtower, the gases, the zones that, you know, the line of sight blockers, that's the word. I really like that. Is ShoWTimE's army on the bottom side got caught a little bit off guard because Cure's rotated around and joined everything up. So that was kind of all the army versus half the army, and now ShoWTimE might be in a little bit more trouble because he just lost a whole chunk. Can he hold on against Cure's push in? A couple of Colossi doing what they can. And Kira's got a Widow Mine off to the side that just doesn't quite find the connection. ShoWTimE's going to continue chasing this down, believing in his army to go all the way through and to keep on fighting the Terran player off. Another lift or two on some Marauders. We do have these few Vikings coming in as well. I think the Vikings make a big difference because that's going to be consistent damage output to Phoenix and to Colossi unless you can really get rid of them. I don't think there's enough units here just to get rid of these Vikings right now. EMP's hit a good EMP too. I think ShoWTimE's army is starting to disintegrate in the middle of the map. Yes, you're going to be seeing Cure continuing across to the far right-hand side. Disruptor Shot comes in. Marine gets picked off. The Vikings continue to hit this Colossus. This Disruptor hits themselves as well. Colossi are down. The Disruptor's on cooldown. And Cure knows it. He's going to land the Vikings and keep pushing up. The Super Battery pops. You don't actually have to fight into this. He's going to drop an EMP. That doesn't really do as much as it maybe wants to, considering the Super Battery, but up the ramp we go. The Disruptors are denied from shooting again. GG from ShoWTimE. And Cure will take game number 1 of this best of 7 grand final in the Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament by WardiTV, our 7th edition. Cure, he won the 6th edition, and he's won up in the finals of the 7th. Top left corner, up 1-0, will be our blue Terran player. This is Cure. Against the red Protoss in the bottom right-hand side, it is going to be ShoWTimE. Game 2 of the 7-map potential series. Why is this guy still ranting about innovation? Holy shit, dude. No one, literally no one cares anymore. We stopped talking about it like 20 minutes ago, and you're still talking about it. We get it. You don't like innovation. You don't think he's the greatest Terran of all time. That's okay. Keep it in your pants. That you know, we don't need to hear it for the 3rd time already. Ay, ay, ay. Like, it's literally just spam at this stage. We're a whole map into the next series. Catch up. Easy final for Cure. We'll see. ShoWTimE's always had a bit of a struggle against the Korean Terrans, but I do wonder kind of how his practice against Clem maybe helps him with that nowadays. You know, a little bit, it's a little bit different, right? Let's see SCV coming down. Next is building on the Natural. Yeah, I mean, ShoWTimE just sort of lost the bottom army initially in that game, and that really just, you know, sent everything else cascading. What map is the map with the Reaper jump-up spot that can fit 2 tanks? I can't even remember. Did they patch that? Because I feel like that's actually been a... I feel like we haven't talked about that in a few days. It almost makes you feel like it's patched or something. I don't know, slowly. Was it one of the 4-player map? I really can't remember at all. Kind of cell set up a little bit as we have Blink on the way in. I'm just gonna shade up a little bit already. Not much going on. Early game, just gonna be seeing Blink versus again a bit of a 3-rack setup. Stim Combat Shield is on the way through, so again, Cure gonna play a little bit aggressively here. I think Fountainhead has again been a good contender just for decent games throughout, right? Nothing too crazy going on or anything and all that kind of stuff. It's just been a fairly peaceful map, right? Like, especially just, you know, I really like the 3-base setup is nice. And I really loved that game from Cure Innovation where we got to see this area be used so much, and I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool example of how the map can become very interesting very quickly. So yeah, I like that a lot. I thought this position was very cool to work around, and yeah. It was nice to see that on Fountainhead. We'll see what Fountainhead gives us here for our grand final matchup. Kill already coming down the bottom side. ShoWTimE, fast third. Obviously, Blink on the defense this time. Doesn't have the Stargates. All of these Stalkers, they didn't meet this army on the map. And there's no battery on this third base either. There's no battery on the natural right now, in fact. And ShoWTimE might be in some trouble if this army's just going to stim forward at him. Pylon's going to go down. It's going to empower the Robo as well, so the Immortal won't get out. I don't even know if he necessarily had to run through the choke point there. Probes get pulled. Yeah, if the probe was pulling, he maybe could have just sat on the choke and just used that to his advantage. 6 workers, I mean, honestly, that could have been worse. I think Cure almost went a little bit too heavily into the base, despite the action. I mean, it was definitely not a bad idea, just maybe could have been done a little bit more calmly, maybe could have sat back a bit. I think it was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do this, but he didn't quite realize, oh, wait, I actually don't even need to go so deep, you know? Could have made it even easier. This dog is going to come across the map on the bottom side. We've got our little bio units hanging around as well. The battery going to settle down. Just going to be seeing our gates all coming up. Couple of racks continuing through. As the starport gets ready to hop on over to the reactors. Starport to the reactors. Stalkers are going to already put some pressure in, and this bunker is going to go, well, begin to burn down. So bunker is going to drop. My army continues to chase down to the south, and I don't even feel like ShoWTimE lost too many units before. Oh, nice interception. A little bit of bio in the center there. Going to catch some of those Stalkers returning home. Oh, that was a cute little play. Yeah, I mean, obviously ShoWTimE lost a bit in that last attack, right? But is it enough that Cure can now just run in and sort of win the game? I don't think so, right? I don't think you can just be that sort of, you know, upfront about it. These bio-units don't even have medevacs, so they've already simmed once or twice. They're already kind of damaged. They already can take some extra shots, and they just won't be healed up at all here. Not until the medevacs arrive, which, again, might be in a little bit. But the right-hand side, Warp Prism is already journeying along. It's going to come up around the top. Everything else going to gather together. See as the Prism warps in a couple zealots. Love to see where that's going to go to, how that's going to set up. This nation trying to figure out what's going on. The Vikings found the Prism, forced the recall home. So the Prism actually just had to recall, so that's already shut down. I mean, that's amazing, because now Cure doesn't have to worry anywhere near as much about the counterattacks. So that's already a huge win as well. Now Cure can, again, like, fully focus on pushing. Everything can come down the map. He has reinforcements obviously sticking around on the other side, but it's kind of about it. There you go, this army pressing forward. Let's start to move on in a little bit, and nothing too crazy just yet. As we fall back, hang back. Still kind of just a slower game here on Fountainhead. Obviously, with the prism being shut down, we don't see any counterattacks from ShoWTimE. He's just going to go up to the 4th base and just roll with it from there for now, I suppose. Has got the prism with High Templar in, so he has gone up to Storm, something we've seen become more and more popular as time passes by in this matchup. Once again, some of these Storm openers after the initial blink. So having that tech, having some splash damage out, obviously gives him a good setup, and he's already kind of aiming towards the next step of this game, which is the Robo Bay. So Robo Bay already coming through, the Forge and a Robo Facility already coming up behind this as well. Viking still just patrolling around the top. Ghost is still just producing now. We do see everything else from ShoWTimE pressing forward. A Widowmine goes off already. And a little connection initially. Let's start running up over here, but I think ShoWTimE's defense, I mean, this is the sort of game where I think ShoWTimE excels in, right? Defensive, sitting back a lot of the time, just kind of playing a later game. To me, this is the kind of game that ShoWTimE just kind of rocks in general as the Bioforces continue to trade on out. The Immortal taking some damage. Colossus popping as well. Bioforce continues to get chased away, and just going to be having our back and forth continuing. On the left-hand side, our Forces of Cure going to try and push down to the south as well. I mean, I'm surprised that's not made a move already. It feels like Cure is missing an opportunity almost over Micron on the right. Because this army maybe could have been done. I guess the army from ShoWTimE is here as well anyway, so maybe you wouldn't have been able to do much. Yeah, he is now bringing this army down and getting this into position as EMPs. Gonna be big. I mean, this entire army is just rigged to EMPs basically. Nice! Oh! The Warp Prism! The Warp Prism goes down! 2 of the High Templar was still inside. The 1 High Templar that did get out initially got EMP'd heavily as well, so it took ages to drop a Storm. It was the second High Templar that dropped one. The Prism just got... I saw it get hit by like a mine or something, and then it just went down to some further damage. And I was like, oh my god, no! We're not going to continue through these couple cells going down a Storm, but he's going to run through. Once the Colossus Super Battery saves it, just a little bit of healing available, but it's enough to keep it alive for the moment. Colossus and the Zalds joining up. Cure on the left, joining up as well. Good chunk of bio units coming through from Cure as well. Going to bring this down and set this forward. I mean, still just kind of, trying to attack down the left, down the right. ShoWTimE holding these 4 bases. Cure gets his own 4th base up behind this. Still adding on Vikings, still adding on the tech he will need to keep on fighting this. On the left-hand side will continue to set on up. Gonna start making a move down to the south. We get a scan off. Three upgrades on the way through. I'm just going to be seeing still this army of Cure moving around to the bottom right-hand side. He's going to get up this ramp. EMP goes down immediately. That High Templar won't act as much of a defense. ShoWTimE a bit out of position. He's now got to push through this choke. Obviously, force fields not really a thing here. It's going to be the EMPs slowing you down. The Vikings, though. The Vikings are doing a lot, but the Vikings are also on top of Archons. But the Archons didn't try and go for the Vikings. They just went to run through to the Stalk, to the Bio Army. Another Storm or 2 going down. Can we get rid of these couple of Colossi? Target fire is there. The one last Viking targeting down the low HP Colossus. Felt like this fight started really well for Cure, but there was a point at which he just didn't really kill off the Colossi any longer, and they survived a long time. That actually allowed ShoWTimE to get a lot more damage out. Now these medevacs pull back around the left side. More bio units coming through. 3-3 upgrades on the way on both sides of this. I guess 3-2 for ShoWTimE is +2 armor. His armor upgrade in general was just behind. A couple units that got out are going to try and harass as the 5th base of ShoWTimE is spotted here. They're going to get pushed back for the moment. Still seeing that +3 attack finishing, of course, and other than that, just going to see a little bit of bio continuing to the upper right as well. Moving around, we're going to take a 5th command center here. So just going to establish the 5th base. Now, we do have a turret already building up. The sensor tower going to go down next to it. As we continue to get ourselves established. Oh, a little bit of mine shot. Just going to clip onto some of those zealots. Fire army makes its way down the right. Gonna get rid of a few more zealots right away. So zealots just dropping like flies. I mean, ShoWTimE got to rebuild big time off the last army. Has a good amount of storms here. Disruptors are back. I believe he still has just the one Colossus though. Could maybe do with Colossi, like around a Colossi. Considering he's got triple Robo. I'd like to see 3 Colossi again. I think they add a lot of value, just being like the consistent damage dealers in your late game army. You know, it's not something that can be dodged away from like storms and disruptors can be. It's just persistent damage over time, as long as they're in range. And generally, you know, even if they're in range, they're generally in a fairly safe position, you know. Disruptor shot there just doesn't quite go far enough to be too impactful, as that medevac drop didn't find an opening either. Secure unable to break down on the right side. Salmon on the left setting up, and just going to be seeing the few zealots already charging through onto this. Bio does just kite back out of trouble. Another disruptor shot coming through. We've got advanced ballistics on the way. It's going to go for that Liberator range. Definitely something which later in this game can help you to control a lot of the later game fights, right? Definitely one of the bigger advantages as the game goes by. I feel like that maybe could have even come up a little sooner from Cure, but he's also building triple CC. Like, he is fully embracing that this game is probably going to go late. Yeah, I feel Violent had shown itself as a pretty strong contender once again here today. It's a cool later game. It's been, you know, shown how you can use the map to get into better attacking positions. It's been shown how it can act as a strong macro map as well, though. Right, like, it feels like it hits a good balance. It hits a good balance. It hits a good point down the middle of doing well and doing, you know, of basically just trading well and not trading. You know what I mean? I'm struggling with my words right now, guys. These DTs jumping this army. It's a good balance of macro versus you can't just sit back and, you know, defend easily, you know, everything easily. You've still got a lot of movement around the map that can make this very good. Then we've seen the ZTs jumping into that planetary that was morphing. It's going to lift off, and the command center just going to jump up into the sky. 8 SCVs going down. We're now going to take these DTs onto this base, and the SCVs don't even try to repair it. Meanwhile, Liberator Siege up. They're going to make life a little bit difficult as the DTs started backing up as well. 20 workers gone down. ShoWTimE definitely starting to take a bit of a command and lead in the later stages of this game. Gonna jump onto these rocks, clean that up a little bit as well. 6 libs at a time. The biggest issue for ShoWTimE will probably be Liberators. Because Liberators are absolutely a thing where if you just don't have the right answer to them, they will just win you a game. And they will just defend against DTs brilliantly too. that also works nicely. Wow. That WardiTV is going to go on a wander out towards the upper side. It's going to go in, Refinery gets shot down, and Archon gets picked off as well. Now the rest of these Liberators coming through too, so just getting those set up. PT's on the left going to get into the base. This is the problem for Cure. you're just not going to be able to keep on affording stuff, because if you let the DTs do this much every single time, well, that's expensive. ShoWTimE just loses a bunch of them. You gotta, I mean, that's nice at least, because at least now ShoWTime's, having some expense of his own, and you're going to need efficiency like that to make up for the fact that you just aren't mining as much, because your bases keep getting DT'd time after time after time. ShoWTime moving down the right, we grab a High Templar on the left. Stalkers and Disruptors will sit in the center. We're going to have a bit of a clash here, maybe. Remember, these libs have amazing zoning potential. This fight was always going to be tough for ShoWTime, and actually, by killing off so many workers, Cure's army has become huge. 146 towers above the 106 army supply of ShoWTime. I mean, ShoWTime actually just said, I don't think I can fight this either. He starts to move across the map. He's going to try and do something that'll make something of a base trade out of this. He's got so much, but this is actually bad for ShoWTime, though. Base trading is not ideal because you have so much money in the bank. You do not want to be the player that, ends up without production, so you can't actually rebuild anything. That seems extremely problematic. He is using this as a chance to get some Tempests up and running, though. 3 Tempests in production, and that's going to be a way to chew through the Liberators, right? So maybe more than anything, just trying to buy time and take Cure's attention away. Give himself the chance to get the Tempests up, and give himself then a proper chance of fighting this army. I don't mind that theory around it, as Viking Lib over there was kind of on its own. A lot of Stalkers warping in too. ShoWTime really believes that it's going to be the Liberators that decide this game, based on what he's building right now. Those Vikings are important too, because they will shoot down the Tempest, and they will provide something of a buffer for the Liberators as well. Down to the south we go. We do see ShoWTime going to start returning home. Now the Tempest aren't here. He's going to blink in. 2 Liberators go down instantly. Where are the rest of the Liberators? There's actually only 2 of them, so there's actually not as many as I thought. I thought there was a whole bunch more, but I guess he lost some at home. I guess he lost some during kind of stage of this game as well. Wow, okay, well, 2 Libs I'm actually not so confident about. Now ShoWTime's going to start coming through this. I don't think Q's confident about it either. He's going to keep on running, but losing so much in the process. Dropping EMPs is nice and all, but what does dropping EMPs matter if you're never going to turn around and actually fight that army? He wants to get his reinforcements out here to try and aid him as well. Again, ShoWTime really just, because he never lost his production, was able to make use of this entire bank. And he's actually only, if he was not supply blocked, he would probably be maxing out right now as well. ShoWTime is going to make this happen. I mean, I had my heart set on the fact that Q would have more Liberators than what he had. And that was going to be the way he was going to be successful here. But without the Liberator count being high, absolutely doesn't happen at all, as ShoWTime is going to come through, crush this army, and crush game number 2, tie this series up 1-1 in our best of 7. Fountainhead goes long, and ShoWTime ties it 1-1. Alright, guys. 3 of the grand finals. ShoWTime tying it up 1-1 against Cure. As in the upper right. Our red Terran player is, of course, Cure. Let's see what he wants to crank out on Yamatai with an SCV already going across the map in the bottom left. Our blue Protoss player, ShoWTime. Nice macro game to get it all tied up. Game 3 of this series. So, we kick this off, we get this going. And let's see what happens. Yamatai initially had some FPS issues. They are working on removing some of the doodads that create the FPS issues. So, that was my major worry about Yamatai initially, but that should never be a worry in terms of, like, voting on a map, because those are always the things that get fixed before it would make it to ladder or anything. This is this is my second pick for my voting. I thought this map again just very consistently good. Hasn't really been OP. Seems like a lot of variety for how the games can play out. Yeah, I really like this one. This I kind of thought I might put Treadmill above it, but I thought, I kind of like the aesthetics on this map as well. So it's like, you know what, we'll vote this one for number 2. It's so hard to put like maps in an order, man. It's like some some of them are like, I can put them in groups of like, I like these ones the most, but then to like put like one at the top of all of those, it's really difficult. Probe scouting around. As we have the early game, obviously, ShoWTime realizing there's no barracks at home for the Terran player. Here is going to get his Reaper on the way. On the left-hand side. So just getting that started up as the SCV comes proking and prodding on this Proby. So Probe taking a little bit of damage there initially as well. As our factory builds on the main base, the first Reaper shows up, and we're going to be having our first probe going down. So, ShoWTimE opting to not build a Zealot. Unfortunately, no bunker attempt, right? So, a bunker attempt really does become difficult to deal with if you don't have a Zealot, as that's going to be the Reaper going down. Was it this map you can fit the tanks on? I feel like that was changed as well already. I think it was this map, slowly, if you're still around. I'm just going to be seeing our probe getting chased away. SCV going to push it back, get able to kill that probe off, and this Barracks of Cure is going to start making his way back home as well. So 2 probes go down, 1 across the map, 1 from the Reaper. Reaper died too. Wasn't the best. Wasn't, I mean, yeah, it just wasn't the best proxy, really. I wouldn't say it wasn't the worst, because it was actually pretty mediocre. The Reaper doesn't survive. You only kill 1 probe. Didn't really slow stuff down too much. Yeah. I mean, it was okay. You can obviously, you don't need, like, you can always transition out of this. Like, not getting a lot of damage done isn't the end of the world, but it does mean you're missing add-ons back at home. There's no reactor up already. You know, these are the kind of things that can actually have a pretty big impact going on from here. That's going to be seeing our 3rd Widow Mine popping out and going to come down to the front. Armory on the way, so we're going to see just basically a cloaked up Widow Mine drop. So once those Widow Mines fire, they'll still be cloaked and hidden, and we'll need detection to be cleaned out, and that's going to be okay. I mean, obviously you see the Robo on the way up, so ShoWTimE shouldn't be too far away from getting that ready to go. Our Robo facility, as mentioned, then going to be very important. It means that ShoWTimE will have to build observers first. I do think he has an observer out before these mines fire a second time. Maybe the mines being spread out could create an issue. And obviously will take a while to clean up maybe, so that's the one thing I'm thinking of that might be problematic here. Gonna go up 3 of the Widow Mines right here, right away. Now he's also walking 1 into the front, so he's really trying to hide the idea of there being an attack here in ShoWTimE. Does he pay attention to it? Does he notice it? He does not. Oh, he does very slowly, or very lately. Or just very late. I don't know why I'm putting Lee on the end of everything. 5 workers. Obviously, this Widow Mine's still active. Blink now done, so you can dodge away. And we really do just wait on the detection from the Oracle. Not from the Oracle, the Observer, to clean up the rest of this. Kills off 1 mine. Goes to the main, we'll look for the other one. 2 mines still active here, though, and they're going to drop back into the natural. It is time for them to go again, and ShoWTimE has to pull the probes once more, so a lot of lost mine time from just pulling these probes repeatedly. And these 2 mines are going to live to fight another day, so they might even get another chance at dropping off and doing even further damage. That felt like a little bit of a lag spike. In fact, that feels like a lot of lag spikes.
Game paused.
Oh, I didn't see who it was. Alright guys, one moment. Give me a sec to see if you can fix it. If not, we'll get him to leave the game. Alright, gonna jump back in. And get this one resuming then as we go into our third map. And it was an effective opening, I think, at the end of the day from Cure. You know, look at these resource bumps in his favor. Pretty much over 5 minutes of this game, he's always been, if not in an advantage, then only slightly behind. This time the medevac gets turned away. Now it's very low HP. The medevac has probably seen its last day of trying to drop those Widow Mines in. And we've seen Stim Combat Shield and the +1 attack, all of the bio upgrades making their way up and running at the moment, as we do see our Stalkers are going to go off on an adventure to the upper right hand side. Yeah, just Stim and Combat Shields all coming through, all of these gateways building in the main. Obviously, ShoWTime just aiming towards that kind of gateway explosion stage of the game. You get all those gates up, you get very powerful all at once. He has not got a Forge, by the way, so I actually wonder if ShoWTime is really just looking to kind of like bust through and win this game here and now, because without a Forge, it kind of suggests he does not want this game to go on that much longer, or he's not really thinking ahead to the future. I feel like by now we usually would have at least a Forge in play. Much does not far from finishing, just going to be seeing the +1 coming through, and we scan out down to the bottom side. Keeping an eye on things. Building our watchtower here, Prism setting up. An Immortal on the way now from ShoWTime too, as he slowly improves his army at least a little bit. Here being extremely patient with this one medevac, not bringing it forward too soon or anything along those lines, just holding it back. To take our Prism toward the upper side. So Prism going to get in towards the main. The Stalkers get turned around already. And Temple Archive is going to be finishing soon as our Zealots drop on in. Honestly, pretty good defense from Cure set up. I'm really intrigued by ShoWTime's plan without upgrades and so on. Because, I mean, he is really starting to fall far behind on upgrades. Like, really far behind. Army comes through, anti-arm missile going to strike. Zealot Stalker taking some damage. Not sure how much I like this fight for ShoWTime. It feels like the Zealots are struggling to get on top of the army. Now finally they're going to swarm through. They were kind of held off to the bottom a little bit. I think that was a pretty nice fight. For Cure, who catches the Prism coming back as well, it will take a turn and it will survive. Loses one more medevac on the exit. As we see ShoWTime, I mean, able to hold this off. On his way to Storm, I still feel like there's just so much danger until Storm is up. Again, especially with the +1 attack being here versus no +1 attack. Or no upgrade at all. Maybe I'm getting a little bit caught up on the idea of the no upgrades. There's a Forge, so it will begin to be addressed by ShoWTime at least as the Bioforce presses forward. Trying to catch the Prism, but not quite making it. The rest of the Bio Army coming through. The High Templars aren't going to have their Storm available shortly, so it looks as though you might not be able to take advantage of the lacking Storm at the moment. In which case, it's probably time to start thinking about maybe adding on a few of those Ghosts. Try and get those up and running to help out here as well. +1 attack, +1 armor. And again, there's the couple of Widow Mines on the way out, the 2 bunkers coming through out the front as well. Ghost Academy going to be finished fairly soon, as our additional High Templar will finish warping in. Offs these into Archons, just kind of buffering up the army. Here come the Ghosts. Kira actually doesn't believe that ShoWTime is going to macro a little bit. He's like, man, you don't have upgrades and stuff. I'm going to build double bunker. Feels like this might just be like one time and he has to hold off against. By the way, here comes a Widow Mine drop, so trying to do a little bit more damage, just be annoying once again. I like it, just trying to keep ropes in mind as long as possible. Gets a couple more here. And there's still one in the medevac. Cannon should be up before this one comes off cooldown. The medevac going to boost away to the corner. I was about to say, there's one Widow Mine still there. Actually, maybe this Widow Mine is going to come off cooldown beforehand. These probes are stacked up a little bit too. Oh my goodness, they split away as they went back at the same time. Wow, still 8 workers, still decent damages. Oh no! The Prism just gets killed. That's a pathing thing. Obviously, Prism just flies over the ledge while everything else trails, and the Marines just grab it. Obviously, on the watchtowers, they saw it coming. EMPs coat the Archons. That's a game-losing move for ShoWTimE, who's still down on upgrades. So you absolutely require the splash damage to actually make this game somewhat winnable. Pure wins Game 3 on Yamatsai as the Prism flies over the Marines. Left-hand corner of Sanguinite is going to be our red Terran player, Cure. Taking on the blue Protoss player in the top right-hand side is going to be ShoWTimE. It's now down a map once again. Another macro-focused map here, though, so obviously that was the kind of map that ShoWTimE brought us a win on last time. We'll see if we can do something similar here this time around as well. As we get this up and running. Sanguinite, I actually really think Sanguinite has been, again, just another solid entry. Why did Sanguinite come on my ranking? I think it was... I had Sanguinite down as number 6, but I really could have interchanged Sanguinite as, like, number 4 or 5 as well, I think. I just prefer, like... I really didn't have, like... You know, again, like, it's just that group of maps, but I think solid map, gonna give us good games, deserves to be in the ladder map pool. Just had to kind of pick one of 2 of them to give a couple of points to on the TLMC. Definitely a solid one. Again, thanks for joining us here today. Almost 3,000 viewers here for our grand final, ShoWTimE and Cure, who will be providing coverage of the ESL Open Cup Europe as well, guys. That starts in, well, about half an hour's time, so we'll probably obviously miss the start, but that's okay. We'll take a chill start as well. We'll have a nice chill little cast of that, hang out a little bit, chitter-chatter. Take it easy for the first few rounds like we usually do. We're about down around the south, just scouting a little bit. Stargate, hey, building the main. Just gonna proxy up a starport. This was all the rage on the 4-player maps in this tournament, and especially the first few days, I guess we saw more TVPs then, and we saw a lot of these proxy starports and Hellions dropping into the base. So, gonna go back to kind of an earlier days, I suppose, as this one gets set up. Depth gonna find it. Nice scout from ShoWTimE. Oh no! Because it gets 2-shot as well, because it took a nibble from a probe earlier, so it doesn't take a 3rd hit, which I don't know if that would have made the difference, but it might have done. Wow, nice scout, nice catch from ShoWTimE. What a way to completely negate what Cure wanted to do, and to find it just as it's finishing as well. It's like worst case scenario. Is it better to find it just as it finishes? I don't think so, because then you can still make use of it. To get it before it finishes, it's the complete maximum amount of wasted time. It's not going to have been rebuilt at home at all. These Hellions can't do anything. Yeah, this was disastrous for Cure. What a scout, as we're just going to be seeing the Adepts fighting with the Hellions a little bit. Going to be seeing the Phoenix continuing through as well. Can lift if needed as well to help remove one of these Hellions from the equation. This is going to be a cleanup, but 4 probes go down, so at least Cure gets something out of this. Has to use both of his Phoenix lift as well, ShoWTimE. So already used a bit of energy here as well. Excuse the FPS for a moment, guys. Just typing something back out in the chat. Uh-oh. Phoenix just kind of ran through and got locked onto. Doesn't die, but that's still a bit of damage on a Phoenix, which was very avoidable. That did not need to happen necessarily, as the additional Adepts still coming through. Another Phoenix producing. On the bottom side, more of these Adepts just continuing to warp in. Yep, I mean, that Phoenix that was low gets killed off, no surprises. Shock horror, Phoenix on low HP dies in one hit. Who would have thought? Alright, well, Stalkers are still producing here as well. ShoWTimE actually wants to get aggressive. He built a few Adepts, he's got the Phoenix here too. He's going to build a third behind it. There's very little tech behind this though. Like, there's no Twilight, there's no Robo. That has me concerned. ShoWTimE putting a lot into the idea of being able to win with this push forwards. We probably need to lift that tank out of the equation, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. So yeah, ShoWTimE again, I wanted to apply some pressure, but not really getting that much done with it, if I do say so myself. I mean, now you back away with these Stalkers and Adepts that have no upgrades or anything on them, or any sort of progress there. The Phoenix unable to get in, the Viking count is good. I'm actually kind of worried for ShoWTimE if Cure just makes like a strong push across the map. Because again, he's going to be working with basic units, basically, and the Phoenix. So, and the Phoenix, which have already taken a couple hits this game, they do have some energy, so they're even going to go. I think they're aiming for some counterattack damage right now. Going to lift a couple of Marines. Then going to go for this Viking, which at the very least will have to be lifted now. But the SCVs will be able to repair it, and they will out-repair the Phoenix. So, well, yeah, they will out-repair it for now. There is 2 tanks with this push, by the way. The Adepts might just want to try and jump on this right away. The tank's going to start sieging. Yep, just going to start bunkering. The Adepts don't commit to this, so first bunker coming up. We're going to slowly push up toward the natural. There's no way ShoWTimE committed without the Phoenix being home. It just never works out. The Vikings going to show up now as well, as Cure realized what this commitment is going to look like. The Vikings land. I mean, there's a lot of Adepts. Adepts are pretty tanky. If the tank's not shooting them, the Adepts are going to survive for a very long time, and that is genuinely the problem here, just the fact that these tanks are in the sky, so ShoWTimE completely crushes this attack. Wow. That wasn't even close. I was worried about just the fact that he was just, like I say, on units with no upgrades or anything, but what he did have was a lot of Adepts, right? I mean, just a lot of those basic units. And this situation, just more units really kind of carried through over everything else, so there we go. There we have it. As ShoWTimE is continuing now down to the south. Good Adepts going to make their way in towards this natural. They won't commit. Sim City's going to make it very hard to end this game. Twilight came up, right? We haven't used that for anything yet. Would love to see a charge upgrade, I think. I think charge is going to be really good to shut down any further Marine tank pushes, especially Marines that are unupgraded for a long time here as well. It's going to go Blink, though. Wow, okay, that's a little bit of a different approach to what I was obviously talking about. The one thing that maybe isn't good with charge is that you already have a lot of Adepts, and you maybe just don't want to warp in a lot of Zealots, because then that composition on its own might not work out too well. So maybe he just wants the Stalkers. Feels like that works better with what he's already got. He already has a few of these Stalkers as well. I mean, he has 3. Not a super major number. Phoenix will continue to go flying as they hunt to maybe find some damage at some point of this. He's going to see a warp in across the map. Around the Zealot's going to come on through here then, so yeah, and on some more Zealots. Oh, does he already have charge? He already has charge. Holy shit. And he had charge. Am I crazy? You guys, charge finished fast, right? I saw him out in the Twilight, then he defended the attack, and I was like, oh, you know, I'd like to see him get, like, charge. I was like, oh, he's going Blink. He already had charge, so I'm not even... So, yeah, well, just completely negate... So I was even right on what I wanted him to do, he just already had it. Rip. Well, my bad, guys. Sorry for that. That's, I honestly just didn't notice it. Kind of a weird situation, I guess. I just missed it in the excitement of everything else going on. Phoenix continuing through. Yeah, he already had charge started as the attack was hitting him, so I guess I just completely skipped over that in my mind. My apologies, guys. Right, well, yeah, with charge up, I actually like ShoWTimE's army a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense as we continue forward here. Gonna start a bunker up toward the front. And goes, I was gonna start charging through. Tanks got lifted again. The Marine count should be good to target down some of these Phoenix's. SCVs are getting murdered. And I think ShoWTimE is gonna very easily collapse in and through this and take this advantage. 23 SCVs down. I mean, obviously ShoWTimE has got Cure on. No possible follow-up. That's gonna be GG. Alright, ShoWTimE ties it up 2-2.